Hi, I'm Tom, and welcome to the world of Growmanji, the only complete solar-powered hydroponic system that is the easiest system you'll ever use. Programs offer full curriculum, K through 12, and give you everything you need to be successful with hydroponics, no matter what grade level. As you can see, we're completely outside, no electricity, no source of water, but yet you can grow anything you want in these systems, and I'm going to show you how. First, for starters, this right here is the container system, the containment system. Everything in here has everything you need for your program. Let's go over a few things. First of all, you're going to start off with an adjustable stand. This is what holds the solar panel in place, and you can adjust it accordingly, which we'll go over. A net pot. This is where you actually put the plant and the supporting medium, and it sits in the system when it's ready to grow. The lid, which holds the system in place. Inside this polystyrene unit, you have a germination tray with a large array of items that we'll go over. The solar panel, which will power your system. The air pump, which oxygenates the roots and keeps the system healthy, free of anaerobic bacteria or anything else that will cause harm to the plant. Extra tubing. A plastic liner, so there's no need to clean the system. Simply as the unit gets dirty, you throw out the liner, replace the liner, add more nutrients, and you're done. Expandable clay beads. They're little rocks, very porous, and this is what supports your plant in place while it grows. Finally, the container. This is what holds the solution that grows your plant. All right, now we're going to set up your system, which is, I'm going to go very slow, and it's going to be very easy. You'll see. Trust me. This is just regular tap water, nothing added to it. It's just plain ordinary tap water. It doesn't matter if it's chlorinated or non-chlorinated. Inside your germination tray is going to be a few items that we're going to go over. Pack of seeds. Water conditioner. This adjusts the pH, which we'll go over. A measuring spoon. This measuring spoon is 2 grams, which you'll see later on. That's important. We'll go over that as well. An air stone. A one-way valve that prevents water from going into the pump and ruining the pump. It only has one direction. There's a little arrow here, and there's a little wording that says the word in, I-N. If I blow on it, I can actually blow air through it. If I try to do the other side, air cannot go through. So obviously you want air to go from the pump out into the air stone, so water can't get back in. This is your pH paper. It's really simple. Tear off a piece of paper, dip it in the water, and it changes color. It tells you what the pH of the water is. The optimal pH for your plants to grow in is between 5 and 6. It can tolerate 7, 8 is too alkaline, and obviously anything below 5 would be too acidic. Plants like it slightly acidic, which would be between 5 and 6. This is your oasis cubes, or artificial dirt. They're just styrofoam. They're like foam cubes that are like your sponge. And this is where you wet these and germinate your seeds in. And we're going to go over right now. So take out your oasis cubes. Get yourself some water that you can actually submerge the cubes in. And what you do is real simple. Dip the cubes in, maybe once or twice. Get them wet. Okay? So you got the excess water, plop them in. Take out your packet of seeds. In this particular case, these are cucumbers. Take out your seeds. Depending on the size of the seed, I like to put about 2 seeds per hole. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. Put the other ones back. Put those off to the side. Now, as you can see, these are totally seeded and the Oasis cubes are moist. What you do is just take a little bit of water from your ordinary tap water, pour a little bit, and you kind of want to keep about a 1/4 inch of water in the bottom of the tray. Put the lid on, put it in a warm, dry place. Well, we live in Florida, so that's very easy to find. Put it outside in a very shady spot. The darker the better. That way it'll stimulate the seeds that think they're under the earth. Condensation, as you can see, is already starting to build on top of the lid, which is giving it the perfect ratio of oxygen to moisture. Set that off to the side, like so. Within a few days, you're probably going to get something that looks like this. These are, for instance, our baby tomato plants. At this particular point, the plants are using all the nutrients from the seed, and now we're going to start to transition to our nutrients, which we're going to add. There's nutrient A, nutrient B, and nutrient C. Okay. Once you make these nutrients, you're going to pour a very small amount back into the germination tray once the seedlings are starting to emerge. This will feed your plant. You want to feed your plant in the germination tray for at least a couple weeks. You want the plants to become very robust and very healthy. This will allow things like wind, heavy rain, and other things not to affect them once you put them in the system. Because at this particular stage, like any small creature, they're very vulnerable to the elements. All right, now that we discussed the germination of your small seedlings and how to take care of them and get them to a size that's worthy to implement into the system. Okay? Before we even get started, we have to talk about the pH of the water. The pH of the water is very crucial. The pH of the water has to be between 5 and 6. And how you're going to assess that is by using this simple pH paper. All you do is you're going to take one strip of the pH paper out, dip it in the water, and there's a color chart right on here that tells you what the water pH is. It's very simple, and we're going to go over that right now. Because in order to make the nutrients, we have to make sure that the pH of the water is within range so the plant can optimize all the nutrients needed. Okay. Once you do make the nutrients and your plants are growing, your plants are probably going to get something to look like this, which are very big, healthy plants. From that point on, then we'll put them into the system. But we need to make this in order to get to this. So let's get started. Take out your pH paper. Take one strip off. Now I got some examples here to show you what it's going to look like. For instance, this has pH down already in it and in the water. When I dip it in, I get a very dark, almost red color. When I compare that to what's on the chart, I can actually see, but you can't really see with the lighting, but you can actually see that that's very red and it's like a 1. That's very acidic. It's almost like pool acid. Okay? If I take my water, which I have a well, and our water tends to be on the other side of the spectrum. So when I dip my pH paper in my water, it actually turns green, meaning that the water is very neutral, which is, if I compare it to what's on here, it's 7. So my water is a 7. We want to get it down to between 5 and 6. In order to do that, you need what's called pH down. All it is a powder that lowers the pH to an optimal pH where your plant can use the nutrients. The reason we do lower the pH to a lower setting is simply because the plants can absorb certain nutrients at higher pHs. So if you've got the pH between 5 and 6, all the elements that the plant needs will be absorbed readily. let's get started. Okay? Get yourself an ordinary milk jug, water jug, whatever. This is a 1 gallon jug. It's very simple to do. Take off the lid. If it's filled all the way to the tippy top, empty a little bit out. So you want like a little bit of air space, about maybe 1.5 inches from the top. That way it doesn't overfill and spill over the place. Okay. Take nutrient A. Take out your measuring spoon. You're going to do 1 level scoop of A. You're going to do 1 level scoop of B, followed by 1 level scoop of C. Each one of these scoops is approximately 2 grams. Total of 6 grams per gallon. Now, since I know that the water is a little slightly neutral, I'm going to take 1 level scoop of my pH down and put that in there as well. I'm going to then take the lid, put it on, and just give it a little shake. Then I'm going to whip out my pH paper. I'm going to dip it back in there again and see what the color change. Absolutely no green. We have an orange to yellow. And if you look on the color chart, orange to yellow is between 5 and 6. It's not, obviously it's not 4, it's not 3, it's not 1, and it's not green, and it's not blue. It's perfectly orange. Your nutrients are perfect pH, and you're ready to use them. Since I have perfectly blended nutrient solution, I then take my germination tray and I add a little bit of nutrients. If you do a little bit more than 1/4 inch, it's no big deal, because at this particular stage the plants are very healthy and can absorb and will not drown or get waterlogged. So what you'll do is you'll then let the plants continue to grow, checking on them periodically, making sure that the cubes don't dry out like a normal plant, and waiting to the point where they get to this size right here. This is a perfect size plant to put in the system. As you can see, the roots are healthy, they're starting to burst out of the seams, and at this particular stage, we are now ready to set up the system. All right, we're almost done, and this is the fun part. This is where we set up the system and watch the plant grow. Once again, this is your germination net pot. This is where you put your seedling in the net pot. This is your containment system. This is going to hold all the nutrients and help the plant grow. Inside is it's just an ordinary food grade plastic liner. You're going to put that inside the container, and you're not going to do anything else other than put that in there like that. What you're then going to do is you're going to fill the container with water. Using an iced tea jug. Now, you remember your nutrients you had before. You're going to use this to, once again, keep your seedlings healthy and wet with the nutrients. And this is what you also could use to top off your system if nutrients begin to evaporate slightly and you want to keep the system topped off in the early stages. But right now, we're setting up the system to transplant the big plants into the system and have them permanently in the system until they're ready to be harvested. This system holds approximately 2.75 gallons. So that's 2 3/4 of a gallon. You're going to fill up this container almost to the top. What that does is it squeezes out all the air. So now you can fold over the bag with relatively no problems. The bag is dead flush against the walls. There's no air pockets. It's nice and tight. And then you're going to fill the system to about a 1/4 inch from the top. So now that you did that, you're ready to add nutrients to the system. The easiest way at this particular stage to add nutrients is to do it in a cup of warm water. By diluting it in some warm water, and once the nutrients are in here, you're able to add them to here, and then that's it. There's no mixing, because what happens a lot of times is the water's too cold, and just like when you add sugar to iced tea, it doesn't blend very well. It's the same concept. Sugar always dissolves better in warm water. Same is true for this. So you're going to get your cup of warm water. Hotter the better, doesn't matter. Put it in the microwave for a few minutes, like you're going to stoke a tea bag or something. I want the water nice and warm. It'll give you a better dilution factor. So once again, you take out your trusty measuring spoon. Once again, it's 2 grams. The system itself is 2.75 gallons. Therefore, when you do the math, it's approximately 6.6 if you're using a scale grams. If you're not, 6 is fine. You're not gonna over fertilize. So you take 3 scoops of A. 1, 2, and 3. You're then going to do 3 scoops of B, which, if you're using a scale, is going to be 6.6 grams. So it's 1, 2, 3, and finally, you're going to do 1.5 to 2 of C. If you do a little bit more than 1.5, I give you a little bit of leeway. So that's 1, and 1.5. Okay. Take your spoon, mix it around, and because we did experiments earlier and you kind of know what your water pH is, you know you're probably going to need at least 1 scoop of the pH down just to start. So in this particular case, I would do 1, 2, and let's do 1 more, 3, 2.5. There we go. It's not an exact science because everyone's water is different. And then you just mix it up, pour it into your system. Now, obviously, when you're setting up your system and you're pouring the water in, do it in a place that's where you want the plant to grow, because you don't want to have to lift 2.5 gallons of water down a hallway and sloshing water everywhere. So I would recommend have a good designated area where you're going to grow, and that you don't have to move the system once it's started, because you can move it. It's not that big of a deal. It's only about 2.5 gallons of water. So then you take your nice blended nutrients, you just pour them in like so. Okay, they're nice and dissolved. You don't really have to mix them in. They're already dissolved. Now you take your lid and put it on top. Okay. All right. Take your net pot, put that in there, and come over here. What you're going to see is the water is actually going to rise above the bottom of the net pot, as you can see. That keeps the cube moist until the roots can start to grow down into the system. Now that we have our nutrients set up and the water level is exactly where we want it to be, we're ready to add the final components of the system into play. Right here, this is the solar panel. And many of you are always asking, like, what's the solar panel for? What's the solar panel for? This is an actual reenactment of what the solar panel will do. As you can see, The plant is above the system, just like in here. The air stone at the bottom, which is being supported by a pump that is being electrically supported by the solar panel. So the solar panel produces energy, feeds the pump, and produces air. This hyperoxygenates the roots, which oxygenates the nutrients, which makes the roots grow faster, makes the plant grow faster, and keeps the system operating at maximum efficiency and maximum health. Because not only does the oxygen make the plant grow better, it also makes bacteria and other harmful organisms unable to grow in this type of system. And as you can see, the sun is starting to shade up a little bit, and now the bubbles have stopped. But as soon as I put, it starts right back up. And so once the pump automatically engages, there's no on-off switch. If it's sunny out, the pump is working. If it's not sunny out, the pump is not working. So that's what the purpose of the pump is for. This is your solar panel. Okay? So it's a nice metal frame around it, and this is your adjustable stand. So what you're going to do is, depending on where you're at in the topography, is you're going to adjust the stand in a way so it optimizes sunlight. So if you have a western or eastern or southern exposure, you look up in the sky and say, oh, well, right now the sun is behind me. So if I was to set this system up, I would set it up in a way like this, so as the sun moves across the sky, it's hitting the panel on all sides, and it's giving it the maximum amount of energy needed to support the system. Obviously, the system does not have a battery backup and does not need to run at night. This helps the system during the day and helps oxygenate the water. It doesn't matter if it doesn't run at night. It supports the plant during the day, and that's enough. So what you're going to do is you get your little collapsible stand, you set it up to and there's little knobs on here that turn clockwise that make it firm so it doesn't bend anymore. So you take it like so, you take your panel, and I like to put it sideways because it supports it better. You got more, so now the solar panel is connected. You then take your air pump. Your air pump is like this, and it's going to come in a way that's going to have a very long cord. These two cords will be connected, like so. It'll be really long. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to do one little thing. You're going to have to take your scissors out and cut the cord somewhere along the lines. Roughly, I would cut it about 10 to 12 inches from the pump. So you cut the tubing off, and you ask yourself, well, why would I be cutting the tubing? Well, it's because of this thing. This is a one-way valve. This prevents water from the system to leak through the tube and into the pump, which would ruin the pump. Obviously, if you put a pump in the water, submerge it in water, it'll ruin the pump and have it stop working. This prevents it. And if you look closely, you'll see there's an arrow here, and on the back it says in. In means you can blow on it. And what that does is it blows air out. Air can't go back in. And the arrow actually points to where the air is going to go. So obviously you want the pump to pump air through this way. You want it to go in here, where it says in meaning towards the pump. The arrow is pointing that way, so therefore you want to pump this right here, like so, and voila. You have a one-way valve that prevents water from going into your pump and ruining it. Take your net pot, shake off the excess water, loop it through the bottom, pull it through, like so. Get your gray air stone, put it on like so, drop it in the water, and that's it. That's all you do. Take your plug attachment, which is a female end, and then you're going to take your male attachment and you're going to plug them together like so. Place the pump. You can place the pump on here, you can place it on the ground. It really doesn't matter. It's encapsulated, it's weatherproof, it's fine where it is. As long as the pump doesn't submerge in water, it'll be fine. Now, we're up to the fun part. Selecting your plant. So, I have so much to choose from, but I think I'm going to pick this one. This one's got some nice roots, and it's got a hitchhiker. It's got a guy that's along for the ride, but you and you. You want your plant to be by itself, so it can have all the nutrients and all the water all to itself. So it'll grow big and strong and produce lots of fruit. You put that at the bottom of the net pot. Take your expandable clay beads, which is going to support the plant during the growing process until those roots can get to a size that it can stand up on its own. This prevents the wind from knocking it over, rain, maybe a raccoon, who knows. All right. All right, there we go. That's it. Now, your system is ready to go. It's operating all on its own. It's doing its own thing. It doesn't need anything else at this particular point. From this point on, you probably won't have to touch the system for at least a month. Fast forward about 3 months, come up closer, and you'll see. This is what you get. You'll get this same exact plant is this plant. And this plant has been growing in this system the whole time. And I've clipped back some of the leaves and stuff so you could, for demonstration purposes, you can see. But you can see as of now, we have 6 tomatoes actually growing on this plant, with a 7th right here and 2 more up here, which are, hey, I don't know about you, but to get 8 tomatoes on a tomato plant that's growing in 2 gallons of water, I think is quite amazing. Well, that's the system. Like you said, like I showed you many of you before, and people who haven't seen the system, this is it. And you can grow pretty much anything. Cucumbers, lettuce, tomatoes, watermelons, pretty much anything that will germinate in that cube will grow in your system. Thank you very much. If you'd like to contact us, we have a Facebook page as well as Growmanji.com that we have also commercial products as well as educational products, and we have support. If you have any questions, just email us and we'll get in touch. Thank you very much.